never before seen clips and the history of Galadon from here to Helsinki. What is up, fellow fans of Clash of Clans? It is your host, Galadon, and yes, today, a bit of a retrospective. I wanted to talk a little bit about things that really nobody has ever talked about. This actually a completely unique Clash of Clans video, as if there were actually something left that hadn't been talked about. But what I wanted to talk about was a little bit of the history of Clash of Clans and YouTube and the YouTubers' trips to Helsinki. So for that, we need to go back all the way to June 11th, 2013, and the uploading of my very first Clash of Clans video. Not even monetized. Boy, how we've come full circle with that in YouTube, but that's for another episode. I put some, I can't remember, I think I put like the black keys in there, or the white stripes, some copyrighted music. So I never made any money off those first videos, but that wasn't the intention. The true intention behind these videos was just to help other players, mostly my clanmates in the early days, get better at the game, and I just enjoyed playing the game so much, I wanted to share that with other people, so I did it through uploading videos. Now, it was almost a year later, this episode, Spells from Fail to Win, was the first episode that was ever noticed by Supercell, and what I mean by that was, at the time, Supercell shared this video on their Facebook page, which had millions of followers. You can see it got a ton of views, and that was really the day that blew up my YouTube channel. At that point, I can still remember, I had 7,000 subscribers the day that I released that video. The following day, I had 10,000. And now it had taken me like almost a year to get 7,000 subs. So, hey, if you're a fledgling YouTuber out there, do not be discouraged. It can take a long time to get the ball rolling. Now, of course, it grew a lot faster after that. Clash of Clans is #1 in the App Store. It's an exciting time for Supercell, for Clash of Clans, and for a lot of other YouTubers. And that's where we fast forward a few more months to October of 2014. My very first group photo right here. This was the beginning of my first trip ever to Helsinki, to Finland, and to visit Supercell, of course, meeting all these guys from left to right. Now, there were 9 people total on this trip. There's 7 of us pictured. Okay, so far left, you've got a guy named Dub War, YouTube Clash of Clans. Next to him, also YouTube Clash of Clans, the young Galadon. Next to him, the even younger legendary Chief Pat. In the center, between the 2 hidden Supercell employee faces, you've got none other than Daddy. On the right of that, you've got Masterov, who's gone on to do amazing things with YouTube in the UK. And of course, inseparable from the very beginning, best of friends, Molt and Nickatnyte on the far right. Just an amazing group of guys. The other 2 that are not pictured were Godson and Simon Tay. Those guys showed up later in the evening, and I believe we went on to dinner right after this. But what a crazy trip in the beginning of a huge change in my life. Next morning, our first visit to the Supercell offices, and here you get a look at Simon Tay and Godson. Simon Tay on the far left, Godson on the far right. This was my first trip to the office. Yes, okay, I realized I was overdressed, but I had no idea. I mean, I know I'm going to this big company, and so I wore a jacket. I felt a little bit silly. It was definitely, everybody else is already in hoodies and laying back, but it was so much fun. These guys were so nice. It was an amazing experience, an amazing trip. We all had a great time, and we got a tour of the Supercell offices. These were a couple of the first pictures I took. This right here, a giant board. You guys, you may be more famous than you realize, okay? This board was constantly showing Clash of Clans attack replays nonstop all throughout the day. So you never know. They were randomly chosen. You could have been up there. There could have been Supercell employees watching your attack or your defense in Clash of Clans. Right by the front entryway was this. They called it, you can see in the top left, the World Domination Map. Okay, the World Domination Map actually would light up a little light every time a player logged on to a Supercell game, and it was color-coded. Green for Heyday, red for Clash of Clans, blue for Boom Beach. And man, that was just such a weird experience to see that many people playing Supercell games. I can only imagine what it was like for the people at Supercell to see those very first lights light up. And it was such a surreal experience to be there in the actual Supercell offices, to meet all these other YouTubers that were already, many of these guys were full-time. I was still trying to transition into it at that point, and that's another whole story to talk about. But again, first time in the Nordics, in Helsinki, Finland, and of course I got my very first taste of reindeer and bear and a lot of other exotic cuisine. It was crazy to travel so far and to try such different foods. A lot of fun, but of course I did also kind of make myself at home a little bit. The local coffee shop, I taught them how to make a cafe mocha. They honestly had never heard. When I tried to order a cafe mocha, they looked at me like I was crazy, and I went in there every day, and eventually they got the hang of it, and now it's actually on the menu across the street from the hotel where we stay in Helsinki. They've got a cafe mocha, and if you ever go there, you can thank Galadon for that. Seriously. Anyway, also, while we were at the Supercell offices, we were invited to write our names on the big chalk wall. This has since moved, but it still exists, and it has grown. I've got other pictures of it a little bit later on, where everybody, basically every trip they've taken there now, people have gotten into the habit of putting a hashtag down, putting a mark down every time they've gone. Also, we did a fan meetup. I don't know if anybody remembers this, but we went to a big shopping mall in the middle of Helsinki and did a fan meetup for Clash of Clans. And yes, more Peter $17 fans showed up than Galadon fans. All right, I couldn't use these guys' faces because I didn't get express written consent from their parents, and who knows with YouTube these days. But it was so much fun. It was, again, so surreal to be there and to have people actually know who I was. Now, also, I'll let you guys know, back then, this was like the days of the Galadon face reveal. None of my videos ever used cam. I didn't live stream, so people didn't know my face. And so right there was the very first time that people saw Galadon for real. We had a few pictures go out on Twitter, on Facebook, that showed the whole crew. So that was interesting as well. And then, well, over the next couple of years, I had no choice but to get used to being on camera. The very first casting experience and appearance for Chief Pat and Galadon was at Finnish Clash at Supercell headquarters just a few months later. And yeah, that was crazy. I mean, Pat and I had never done anything quite like this. Now, obviously, both of us at this point were used to live streaming. We were both streaming on Twitch, I believe. Both, of course, making lots of Clash of Clans videos, but this experience was different and unique. I mean, the studio setup, it was the debut of the Pekka Cafe. It was the first time that I had ever worn makeup, which was pretty awkward, but, you know, eventually you get used to it. I don't know, don't think it really does me much justice, but Pat, of course, always looking beautiful right there, and we had a good time. We obviously did several events at the Pekka Cafe over the next couple of years, and it was a lot of fun. We did a lot of different tournaments there. We had Finnish Clash, we had Nordic Clash, and all sorts of tournaments around the world after that. Just, again, what a lucky experience for me to be able to be involved with this, to learn so much from Supercell, to learn so much from the other YouTubers there as well. Very, very honored, very humbled, and it's been a wild, wild ride ever since, you guys. Obviously, here we are. It is almost exactly the 5-year mark of my first Clash of Clans video, my first YouTube video. And obviously, I could just go on and on about this stuff, you guys. I would love to cover in a little more detail some of my other highlights of trips to Helsinki and obviously other countries that I've been to for Clash of Clans. If you guys are interested in that, let me know down in the comments. I can make a part 2 to this video that talks a little more in depth about my favorite experiences, my most memorable moments in Finland, and of course just in the whole what's happened in this whirlwind of the last 5 years. Obviously, I went from having a full-time regular job to now doing YouTube casting, streaming full-time, and that's something that I was lucky enough to be able to transition into gradually rather than have to make the big jump and commitment that a lot of people do today. So again, thank you guys for watching all the way to the end of the episode. Leave your comments down below. If you'd like to see a part 2, I am happy to put it together. Obviously, I have a lot of people to thank, but mostly you guys. The fans and the players of Clash of Clans are what made this game a global phenomenon over the past 5 years. And you guys are the reason that people like us can do what we do. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Obviously, I owe a great deal to all the other YouTubers that I've learned from. For Supercell for inviting me out to Finland. Just a little bit of clarity, just so you guys know, none of those players, none of those YouTubers that have ever come out to Finland are contracted. They are not given gems. They are not working for Supercell. It's a very cool independent thing because we just started making videos about a game we love and sort of fell in backwards to this whole bonus of getting to know the actual company and getting to know a new country. So thank you guys, as always, from the bottom of my heart. You guys are the true hashtag GalaFam. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Go out there, be kind to other people, and of course, in life, as in Clash of Clans, give everything your all, and make every attack a full attack. Thank you guys. I love you. Galadon! Galadon, you never answered the question. Why didn't I get invited to Finland?